That ACC trophy is making a home in Tallahassee. Can the Seminoles make it 4 in a row? Let's love the game now from Cary, North Carolina. Florida State, the 1 seed, all in white. The Pitt Panthers in blue with the gold numbers. Ronnie Ewai, Heather Gilchrist, Lauren Flynn along that back line. And how many center backs will come into an ACC championship of a hat trick? Flynn had a hat trick in the last match for Florida State. Seminoles had a bye, so did not have to play a first-round match. Came right here to the semifinals, but Flynn took it to NC State, took every opportunity on set pieces to get up in the box, and boy, did she make it count. Those 3 goals equaling the total goals of her first 3 years.
Oh, I'll take your pick because we talk about the front runners. As you're going to see Olsen on that far side get into the box.
Looking for Dudley, the freshman of the year. Jody Brown unleashes.
Well, and this is something that you and I were talking about coming into this game for this Florida State team with the amount of experience they have. And typically coming in undefeated, you say, hey, maybe a team needs to have a loss going into postseason play just to keep them at check. But this is a team with so much experience, so much talent on that front line. It is about pushing the pace, being relentless. So you're going to see Dudley on that far side go herself. Good to see her back into the starting lineup. But she's
limping, though, isn't she?
And that will be something to watch. But the relentless nature of this front line, the front 5 for Florida State, is something to keep an eye on in these first 15 to 20 minutes of this game. Because if they can put this Pitt Panther team under a load of pressure, we'll see how they respond.
Amanda West, the all-time leading goal scorer in Pitt Panther history. And perhaps no goal bigger than the one that got her team here in overtime just down the road in Chapel Hill on Sunday. Panthers getting the win over the Tar Heels to make it here to this semifinal. So already Pitt getting a little taste of overtime. You only get that in the postseason now in college soccer, overtime and penalty kicks if needed. This is a rematch from a couple of weeks ago. Panthers went down to Tallahassee, actually took the lead against Florida State, but the Seminoles would come back to win that match 3-2. Dudley, she is so tough to contain. Strides forward with the ball at her feet. Nobody stepping up to stop her. Deborah Abiodun finally comes back.
And she just glides, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Just glides through traffic, through pressure. And already we're seeing this game open up and potentially see some end-to-end action with both of these teams wanting to commit numbers forward, but so dangerous in those transitional moments as well.
Chloe Menis wearing the captain's armband. Out to Landy Mertz. North Carolina could not contain Mertz that last match. She goes herself, or at least puts it in the vicinity of the goal.
Well, keep an eye on her positioning as well, because this is what makes her so dangerous. She'll stay out of the play initially, keep herself wide, and then she creates those opportunities to go 1v1. And it's difficult to defend because she's driving into the box. She has numbers that she can serve to inside that are making runs from the deep areas for the Pitt Panthers. And one of the reasons why they excelled so much in that quarterfinal game against North Carolina on Sunday night.
And as we get into this match, second one tonight, Marion, I know it's chilly down there on the field. What about the pitch conditions, though, as we get started?
Chilly, no doubt about it, but the field is actually quite damp. Pristine, yes, but from the looks of it, maybe from that aerial view you guys are sitting at, you can't tell just how wet it is down here. Expect the ball to skip really quickly and expect some strikes from distance early on to test the grip of the goalkeepers.
Well, that's something that you and I, Jen, talked about even at the end of that first game. Just before this game started taking place is the slickness of the field. And how does that change? Well, as Marion said, taking shots from distance, but also just playing more balls to feet. Both teams might look for some of the verticality to play in behind quickly, but then you just have to put some backspin on the ball to allow it to die in behind the back line of each team's opposition.
And I don't think there's much hesitation when it comes to finding your shot for either of these two teams. They are the only two teams in the ACC to come in with over 50 goals. Florida State right at 50, Pitt at 51. There's your ACC Offensive Player of the Year. Joe Echegini, they call her, finding Jordan Dudley, the Freshman of the Year. Olsen holding her line, waiting for her run. Now it's at her feet, it's blocked. Landy Mertz first to the ball for Pitt. Florida State will take over with the... So a player coming from an offside position is the call from our referee, Nicole Green. All female officiating crew in our second match, as well as our first match tonight from Cary. And this is Mimi Van Zanten. Number 17 just saw her sister Kiki play for Notre Dame. But no chance of a sister v sister matchup in the final as the Tigers took out the Irish. Any surprise for you at all here, Lori, in just the way that Pitt's playing this defensively at first?
No, not at all, because this is one of the things that we spoke to Randy Waldrum, the head coach for the Pitt Panthers, about coming into this game. And I talked about him using the width. You don't see that as much in the college game. A lot of teams will make the field more narrow, but also staying horizontally compact. And they said that's something that they've worked on the last few years to give themselves an advantage, is staying compact and not chasing the ball. So I don't expect them to high press all the time against this Florida State team. Allow them to have the ball, move it around, as we're going to see Nesbeth take a hard hit in the middle of the field.
Yeah, high boot, it looked like, came in on that from Sarah Shapansky. And Leilani Nesbeth, just that glue type of player in the midfield for Florida State.
Just to finish that previous point, too, that is one of the reasons why we are going to see this Pitt Panthers team just stay back in a mid-block compact, because they don't want to allow this player, Nesbeth, who can control the game in that deep-lying midfield role, moving it side to side, but also joining the attack. Can they limit her impact? Then they'll know that it's a job well done.
Taylor Huff getting back onto the ball. ACC assist leader gets it to Van Zanten. Echegini, edge of the area. So slippery in defense, and she charges right at Ellie Caulfield, who holds her ground defensively and earns the goal kick.
Yeah, she's going to be an important piece to the Pitt Panthers, especially defensively, because they do start in this 3-back, but at times there is some fluidity to their formation. She will drop back and make it a 4-back at different times within the game. There we see her do a good job of just putting the pressure on Echegini, seeing that one over the line. They're going to need that from her all game long, because we're already seeing, just in these opening minutes, how quickly Florida State can go from defense to offense and get numbers forward.
Florida State set a program record with their goals in conference play this year, 36 of them. That is second all-time for any team in ACC play. And this offense on pace to break more records as this season continues. Nesbeth, Fulcrum in the middle, going out to Ron EY. I mentioned in our first match there'd be some international experience. There always is, really, when it comes to Florida State. Jody Brown, of course, played in the World Cup with Jamaica, a couple of them now, which is incredible to say with her experience. And then Echegini and Deborah Abiodun, both playing for Nigeria, where they were coached by Randy Waldrum of Pitt. All kinds of World Cup connections. Abiodun, you forget sometimes she's just a freshman. Very important member of the ACC All-Freshman team. Third team ACC selection for the Panthers this year.
Well, she's one to certainly keep an eye on in the middle of the field because she will be that player. You are going to see Dudley.
Yeah, here she comes again. Hard to catch your breath with Jordan Dudley on the attack.
Yeah, and good defense for the Pitt Panthers. But Abby Oden is certainly that player in the midfield that will be the outlet to break pressure. You've already seen her a few times. Just a little late run to check into the midfield, to get on the ball and slow things down once the Pitt Panthers do win it. She really links this team from defense to offense and showing her experience. And if she decides to stay all 4 years, will no doubt be instrumental in the midfield.
Don't you love that that's a conversation we can have now?
Yeah.
It's an option. Players going pro, even early. Michelle Cooper, a prime example of that. What an incredible time she had at Duke, but she left to go straight to NWSL.
And the challenge for these coaches in these organizations and colleges then will to continuing to find special talent. We see Huff in the middle of the field for Florida State coming over as a transfer from Tennessee. How important she has been for the Seminoles so far this season. 11 assists out of that attacking midfield role, but to continue to revamp because Michelle Cooper with the Duke Blue Devils, difficult for them to find a lot in the way of the attack with her departure going to the NWSL this year. So to be able to stay and fight in this conference, it's only going to get tougher next year. Have to be able to find the talent in special places.
Olsen. Huff lets it through. Echegini has Van Zanten on the overlap. That's where she goes. Nice touch. Back to Huff. Zalski. One of the 3-and-back. It is a 3-back that Pitt has settled into, although, as you mentioned, Lori, sometimes that will shift into a 4 with Caulfield dropping down. But Zalski, Gordon in the middle, the freshman Olivia Lee on the outside.
Well, and so far, defensively, have been disciplined, the Pitt Panthers. So now can they work themselves into the attack a bit more? And that's where the outlet of Abby Oden, we talked about meanness at times. Can they get on the ball and look to play forward more quickly once they do win it in these scenarios?
Caulfield may have gotten away with one there. Typically, when a player puts both hands up in the air, it's a sure sign of guilt. But no foul called on the play. I didn't do anything. On we go. Nesbitt in the middle. Flynn inching her way forward, right into traffic. Huff wins it back. Van Zanten, one quick touch toward Dudley. She goes down edge of the area. Here comes a free kick for Florida State.
Well, there's not going to be a lot of room in those central areas, especially for Dudley. She's going to draw so much attention to her defensively, and she's going to have to continue to hold her ground. Does so well in this moment. Just gets there first. You can see the step in that comes late for the Pitt Panthers, draws the foul, and sets them up for an excellent opportunity in these opening 10 minutes.
So Ellie Breach, the sophomore, gets ready in goal. Sets her wall in front of her. Huff and Nesbitt, the two standing over the ball for Florida State. Nesbitt will take this one herself, bends it but too high, up and over the crossbar. Leilani Nesbitt has also played internationally for Bermuda.
Well, and you like the idea. That's not missing by much from Nesbitt either. Doesn't need much of a run up to be able to get up and over that. You can see the pace, the dip. Just can't get it down in time. But they do have the ability to score from those set pieces and draw those fouls consistently throughout the 90 minutes.
Van Zanten. Pitt can't keep a hold of it. All the way back to Christina Roque, ACC Goalkeeper of the Year last year. Named second team All-ACC this season. It's just a incredible goalkeeping and defensive performance by Hallie Makowitz for Clemson. Leading the nation in shutouts. But Florida State's success, really over the last decade, has been so impressive. And in the ACC, they are regular season champs back-to-back years. They shared the title last year with North Carolina in the regular season. They've won the last 3 ACC tournament titles. And they've finished first or second in the ACC 15 times in the last 19 years. 9 ACC tournament titles in total for the Seminoles. Dudley. Soft touch for Huff, who there is no foul. Referee Nicole Green right there on top of it to see the play.
And in the run of play, it did look like the right no call. Goes to ground, gets all of the ball, and yes, gets a bit of Huff as her momentum carries her through. I think one of the reasons why we're seeing such an unprecedented season for this Florida State, after you just named off of all of their accolades and how successful this team has been, is they're not afraid to be a bit more direct and then get numbers underneath that big ball that they play over the top. So at times it seems like they're being impatient, but I think it adds just a little bit of nuance to the way that they want to play. Yes, they can keep possession, move it side to side. We've seen that for so many years, getting combinations down the wide areas, but at times they'll just hit the ball over the top, play it into Dudley. She has been immense for this Seminoles team all season long, causing so many troubles. We're going to see her again right now.
On cue, here is the freshman of the year in the ACC. One touch unselfishly over to Olsen. Nesbitt wanted to go back to Dudley. Samaya Fury, haven't called her name yet for Pitt, and not for long either, as Leilani Nesbitt gets herself right back on the ball and returns possession to Florida State.
Well, and it's a good example of how the Pitt Panthers are going to have to grow into this game, because once again, defensively making it predictable for themselves, winning the ball, but then no real ability to create in the attack. And a lot of credit to this player right here, Nesbitt, doing a good job of doubling back, staying compact and next to her back line so she can win either the first or the second balls. But can the Pitt Panthers do a little bit more in the way of the attack, connect the ball, get runners off of Fury once she does hold it up?
There's Heather Gilchrist, missed a couple of matches with illness about halfway through the ACC season. By the way, I wasn't done with all of the accolades for Florida State. I was only talking ACC. We haven't even gotten into college.
I wanted you to be done because you had been going on. So,
look, the people need to know. This Florida State team, that success has extended onto the national stage. Not only have they won the last 3 ACC championships, they've played in the College Cup the last 3 years, which, by the way, where's that going to be this year, Lori?
Right here.
Right back here in Cary, North Carolina.
Forest Stadium, which I called it in the first game.
Yeah, try to keep the names right here at Wake Med Soccer Park. Samaya Fury and Pitt have withstood those first 15 minutes like you talked about. It's going to be so important. Was Florida State could come out here and flex their muscles, impose their will as the #1 team in the country, as the team to beat. And so far, Pitt's held their own. Mertz. Into Fury. Echegini, Dudley, Olsen on the run. 2 players around Dudley. Yeah. It takes every bit of Chloe Minas, who is whistled for the foul.
I actually thought maybe that was a foul on Dudley, but regardless, a good battle between those 2 players, and Minas in a really good position, because that is not the position you want Dudley in if you're the Pitt Panthers, with a little bit of open space to be able to go forward and get turned, because her ability to hold up play but also get faced and start running at that back line, lights out. I imagine we're going to see this throughout the 90 minutes, doubling down on Dudley. Yeah, that is a foul on Minas.
Good call. She had us fooled. Run a play. That's why we don't wear orange or whatever other colors the referees are wearing these days. Here comes Flynn. Echegini has been so well marked. She does get her shot off. Hits the crossbar. Talk about making something out of nothing.
Get out of town, Echegini, because we've seen you do this before. Time and time again, no doubt. Is she the ACC Offensive Player of the Year because of that right there? My goodness.
Marion, how about this Florida State attack?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that makes the Florida State players so good, in particular the Florida State midfield, is a really simple skill that oftentimes those of us that are in this world, we take for granted, and that's just the ability to check your shoulder. These players are looking over their shoulder constantly. They always know where the open space is, and that really allows them to have so much success when they build through the thirds.
Well, not only success, but also fluidity, because we're going to see Olsen on that right-hand side has typically been more of the center forward, the number 9 for Florida State, but at times she'll pinch in. That allows for Dudley to occupy that space that she vacates. So there's so much movement, and that requires you to be on the half turn, slip into the lines or in that space behind the midfield of the Pitt Panthers, and that is where they cause so many problems with their movement. If you're not on the same page defensively, they will break you down in a heartbeat.
Five 0 shots in favor of the Seminoles so far in this one, although just one of those on goal. Technically, that shot that whipped off the crossbar doesn't count as on goal. It was a couple inches away from Echegini last time down. There's that quick look over the shoulder. That's what Marion was just talking about. Nesbitt assessing the situation. Panthers having to be comfortable, being uncomfortable so far in this match, not having much of the ball, not able to get into their attack and really keep the ball for long stretches of time.
In some ways, though, I do think that they feel comfortable in this shape defensively. If they don't put themselves under pressure, as we're seeing a few nerving moments right here, but that is something that they did tremendously well against North Carolina on Sunday night's match, was just have complete control defensively, allow North Carolina to possess the ball deep in their own half, and then they could just move side to side and wait for their moments to be a bit more aggressive and pounce on the loose balls. And we're starting to see that now, because they are starting to build themselves into this game and be a bit more direct now, as we're going to see Mertz try to get on the end of that ball over the top.
I think we need to see another look at that Echegini shot.
Yeah, no doubt. We absolutely do. And there's the half turn, once again, that Marion was talking about, just understanding where the space is. And this is what separates Echegini, because her ability technically to keep it tight to her body, then to break out, get her head up, knows where the space is, and I was about to hit top bin, and unfortunate to hit the crossbar.
Well, her 11 goals leading all ACC players this year, Echegini. 5 of those coming in the last 4 matches. Panthers are making a sub here. Kira Mellenhorst coming on. Not surprising after talking with Randy Waldron to see Mellenhorst as she comes on to replace Minas in the midfield. As a player he really thinks of as a starter, Mellenhorst, a junior, transfer from Oklahoma in her 2nd year with the Panthers, and has started 12 matches on the season. Nesbitt was fouled as she brought the ball down and tried to turn. And that's a quick yellow card. Welcome into the match, Kira Mellenhorst.
Yellow card has been issued.
Came in high, didn't she? Yellow card for her efforts. Echegini. Can Sarah Shapansky work her way into this match? Not this time. I mean, Nesbitt is there to pick the pocket every time. Now Huff. Edge of the box for Florida State. Back to Nesbitt. Pings around. Echegini. There's always another Seminole there. Now finally, Deborah Abiodun able to take it away for a moment. Just a moment, though. Left and short. Van Zanten steps in. Echegini is in. There's a big save from Breach.
Well, always an outlet, always with one thing on her mind, to go to goal, to get a shot off, even if it's through traffic. A first attempt from Echegini through traffic, getting on the end of the ball, and then it's released, but then right back again. They've got numbers to pick it up, and it's Echegini getting on the end of it. And here's when the ball's turned over. Echegini always towing that line to cause problems for the back line of the Pitt Panthers, forcing a big save for Breach.
A lot of bodies in the box right now in front of Ellie Breach in goal. Service from Huff. Dudley got her head to it first, I think. And West just clears it out.
And that's the relentlessness, the ruthlessness that we've been talking about for Florida State. I think they have to continue to push this pace, because at times we are seeing the Pitt Panthers have to drop deep defensively, get numbers behind the ball, and some last-ditch defending. And the last thing you want to do with this team that has a lot of confidence, belief that they can play against anybody in this country, is allow them to continue to stay in this game. So if you're Florida State, get numbers forward and find the goal early on.
This Pitt team has just continued to grow as now the whistle is blown. But you think about what they did last season. 2022 is a program record, 14 wins, 5 ACC wins. They qualified for the ACC tournament, the NCAA tournament for the first time. There's a look at the foul and why the whistle was blown. And now this year, they found a way to even better some of those marks. Breaking the program record again for ACC wins with 6, goals with 51. And they're not done yet. They already tied that overall win record. They come in with 14.
Well, and credit Randy Waldrum and his coaching staff, because this is a team that was pretty wedded for a while to play in the 4-3-3. That is his favored formation, especially playing a 4-back traditionally. But then how do you get the best players on your team on the field that can cause the most problems for the opposition? Well, they went to a 3-back, and then you have a little bit more fluidity. You get Shapansky in a bit of a deeper role in the midfield, Fury as your target forward, and then West and Mertz causing problems in the wide areas, and it has really paid dividends for themselves.
Mertz not at all in her favored position, which is typically with her heels just about on this sideline, having to come in and help defensively. Our ACC Fall Championships continue this week. We've got field hockey, the championship for you tomorrow at 7 Eastern, Duke and North Carolina. Sunday, men's soccer with quarterfinals starting at 2 Eastern. Those will continue on Wednesday with their semifinals. And it is all right here on ACCN and the ESPN app, the home of ACC championships. Florida State is the only team in our field of 4 coming into tonight, the women's ACC semifinals, who has won an ACC tournament title. Of course, North Carolina with the lion's share of those, 22 of them in program history. Florida State with 9. Mentioned it at the top of our first game. It's a different looking field. Pitt helps make that difference. Not some of the familiar faces. No Duke, no North Carolina, no Virginia. First time ever. We don't have at least one of those 3 teams in the ACC semifinals on the women's side. And the Clemson Tigers, too, trying to climb back into consistently being championship contenders. They've been in the final 3 times but have never won. And Florida State, all they do is win, win, win when they come here to carry. Pitt trying to change that.
I was afraid you were going to say it.
At least I didn't really sing it. I thought about it.
Well, that would have been
worse.
Well, yeah.
Would you have chimed
I would have just gone solo on the broadcast.
You would have cut my microphone off.
Or our producers would have.
Look, try to stay focused, Lori Lindsay. All right? Don't let my singing distract you. Fury loses it out of bounds. This Pitt attack has just been unable to get going in this match yet, but they're staying patient, having to do a lot of defending. This is is a team that had 19 shots against North Carolina in the first round. They had 16 in that match a couple of weeks ago down in Tallahassee at Florida State, where they did take an early lead. No shots so far in this one for the Panthers. Nesbitt on point, outside to Brown. Still scoreless, and really that's not all that surprising. If you look at the body of work for this Florida State team all season long, they have had a lot of matches in conference play where they've either been tied or they've even been down at the half, and yet here they sit unbeaten. They have found a way to come back so often and have very much become a second half team, which is not to say they're not dangerous in the first half. They've just been even more so in the second half of matches all season.
Well, and this is a Pitt team that will start to build even more confidence. We talked about Abby Oden in the midfield, starting to be even more impactful. Well, she's starting to get on the ball even more. She drew the foul, played a few good balls into the wide areas, and that's where the Pitt Panthers are going to start to get a foothold in this game. If they can get it wide, switch the play, find Mertz, West, higher up the field in those wide areas, they can start to punish this Florida State team that will want to send players forward, especially in their wide back position, and that's where the space will be.
A lot of traffic. Huff can't hang on to it. Caulfield. Fury on the run. Smaya Fury having her best year. Does well, slaloming through a couple of defenders, but they stay with her. Mertz. Bending ball. Could have been tricky, but handled just fine in the end by Christina Roque.
Yeah, and there's Fury, the player that is so smooth, that can cause problems up top, back to goal, but also once she gets face forward, that ball sticks to her feet, and she can go at speed and take players on 1v1. And so the more that she grows into this game, it's going to be better, because that allows for the Pitt Panthers to get more numbers forward around her. And that's when she's at her best, playing one touch, two touch, and then being a little bit unpredictable with her movement to get faced up.
Van Zanten out to Huff. Good whip here for the Seminoles. Dudley. What a ball! Dudley! Left it wide!
Best opportunity of the game. Great movement. How quick they can get into the attack. And it starts with Huff on this near side. Typically more the attacking midfielder. Well, what does she do? Just pulls herself out of it. That's the fluidity we're talking about. And then just gets her head up after that first initial touch. And then what a ball that is. That is why she has 11 assists on the season, right into the path of Dudley. And she doesn't typically miss in that position, just pulls it wide, and you got to give Breach the credit. Comes out, makes the goal smaller, cuts down the angle for Dudley.
I was just about to say, Dudley had a spell where she was quiet for a few minutes, and then, wow, what a gorgeous ball from Huff. And we've seen Dudley finish off attempts with much higher levels of difficulty than that all season. A couple of subs came on. Caitlin Zapay, Leah Pace in for Florida State, replacing Olsen and Brown in the attack. Leah Pace, by the way, former Pitt Panther, transferred to join this Florida State team this season after spending the last 3 years at Pitt. And the Seminoles will go to their bench again. Maria Alagoa comes on to give Dudley a bit of a break here before halftime. Well, what a Week 10 ACC Network football lineup we have for you on Saturday. It starts at noon Eastern with Drake May in North Carolina hosting Campbell. Then number 13, Louisville hosting Virginia Tech. And we'll cap the day with Tyler Van Dyke and Miami taking on NC State, who are coming off a big win against Clemson at 8. All 3 games also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. So let's see if some of those subs create a different look in the attack for Florida State. Nachigini still working hard out there. ACC Offensive Player of the Year. Started to get some more time in the World Cup as that tournament went on this past summer, Lori. That round of 16 match, it ended in a shootout against England. Maybe could have seen her a bit more through that tournament. She can have a conversation with Randy Waldron about that another time.
Speaking about Randy Waldron, though, I love how calm he is on the sideline. There's a lot of those games that I called for Nigeria during the World Cup. He was doing the same, just sitting there all calm.
Every coach has their own demeanor. And this Panther team has managed to stay calm as well, trying to work themselves into this match. It's well done. Off in fury. Yeah, that one hurts from up here. Now, Nicole Green having a conversation with Brian Penske. I think frustrated that he doesn't feel like that's the first time he's seen this type of a foul in the match.
Well, and I imagine this has to be a yellow card. I mean, that is a late challenge. You go to ground, you don't get the ball, you get all of Huff's legs, and no, there's no intent to hurt Huff on that, but it is a late challenge, and there is the yellow card.
Yeah, so it is shown.
And the yellow card has been issued to Pitt's number 23.
A couple of yellow cards in the match, both going against the Panthers. One to Millenhorst, now to Fury. Ten minutes remaining in our first half. No score between these two teams. It was a 3-2 final in favor of Florida State just 2 weeks ago down in Tallahassee. But the Seminoles have never lost to the Panthers. They're a perfect 12-0 all-time. And that includes a match in 2022 that actually ended Pitt's dream season in the NCAA third round. Florida State winning that one 3-0. And about coming on to replace Fury after that yellow card was shown. West taking off after the restart. Caulfield coming onto the ball. Back out for Lee. That ball does go out of bounds. Abiodun. Zalski has some time. Looking for Bound, who just came into the match, place of Fury.
And there's a real calmness about this Pitt Panther team, even if they're under pressure, to be able to work themselves out of pressure, build into the game from those deep positions, and then find the weak side. And they're so successful at it. If they stay calm and then they're a bit more clinical with the first initial pass going forward, if they can connect that, then it opens up space to get more numbers around and they can go in combination. Right now, it's a bit of a hopeful ball in behind, and then they just put Florida State in these types of positions deep in their own half, but it doesn't really give them an opportunity in the attack to create.
Marion, can you add more on that?
Yeah, Zalski actually came over to the sideline asking Randy Waldron, I don't know what to do about this overload on the wide side. He actually said, you're fine. You're dealing with it just fine. Stay in your shape, stay compact, you're fine.
Yeah, and sometimes I think you make a great point, because, and so does Randy, is that sometimes you just need to drop can see the space, get numbers behind the ball. You don't have to rush out and step, and I think that's something that this Pitt Panthers team has done really well.
So this is the first corner kick of the match, and this is one of the best weapons, one of the best corner kick takers in the ACC. Watch what Szczepanski can do here. There's one initially by Florida State. Is there a second chance? Still alive for Pitt. Caulfield. Had Huff coming in hot on her back. Szczepanski. West calling for it in the middle. Abby Oden. A little off the mark on the touch. Pace against her former team. Regains control for Florida State. And maybe now Pitt willing to gamble a little more, take some more chances, force Florida State to defend.
Well, that is a great example of what we're talking about. And there's a little bit of a loose ball, so now we're going to see Florida State with 3 players. But immediately look at the numbers around the ball just to disrupt and make life so much easier for themselves defensively. And a lot of that has to do with just not chasing balls in these areas. They just drop back, allow the play to develop in front of them, but they don't get bypassed 1 and 2 combination because they don't jump too easily. And that's the defensive discipline that we've been talking about for the Pitt Panthers these last few matches.
Bout drew the defense in, poked the ball away to Mertz. Now it's Mertz one-on-one with Nesbitt. She doesn't want a piece of that, not yet. Goes back to Mellenhorst. Amanda West, 49 goals in her Pitt Panther career, more than any other Pitt player. And she'll earn a corner kick for her team.
Another corner coming up for the Panthers.
48 goals, actually. I gave West
Again,
an extra
Sarah
one.
Szczepanski on the corner
Get that
kick
correct.
for
48
Pitt.
goals for West. We'll see if she gets 49. And this is one of the weapons that Pitt has consistently used all season. See some of the best in the country in terms of earning corners. Szczepanski from the other side. Driven at the near post. And they'll set up for another corner. Tomorrow's ACC PM with Mark Packer and Taylor Tannenbaum will come to you from
Another corner
Raleigh,
kick
North
for the
Carolina,
Panthers.
just down the road,
Szczepanski to serve
as the
again.
prep for college football Saturday, highlighted by Miami and NC State. The show starts at 4. The game here in ACCN at 8. At the near post again. West brings it down. Gets around one defender, and a half-hearted attempt in the end. See, now someone else is doing the singing. Florida State fans singing a little song for Christina Roque. Lori just gave me a look that said, "Don't you dare try to do it," so I won't. Hopefully you guys are hearing some of that, though. Pace to Nesbitt. That's Huff on the run. Zalski, little of an errant touch. That's how you bring a ball down right there. Nesbitt. Van Zanten. Huff. Echegini. Don't want to give her that much space. That's why, but she does bounce it into the gloves of Breach.
And it's the last few times we've seen this on this near side for Huff on the last attack, and then just this one now. We're seeing Florida State narrowing the field. If those wingers just stay wide, then it really caused so many issues for that back line for Pitt, because then they have to decide if they're going to go out to those wide areas, if they're going to step to the ball carrier. And right now, with making it so narrow, it allows Pitt Panthers just to converge defensively in those central areas and makes it predictable for themselves.
Lori, exactly. That's actually a coaching point. You mentioned Taylor Huff finding that flare out wide, Jody Brown even. That has been the direction from the sideline. They want Taylor Huff, Jody Brown to find those pockets of space because not only does it open up the shape, but it also allows them more combination opportunities at the top of the box.
Ron Ely overlapping now. Can she keep it in? Yes, she does. Overshoots it, though.
Yeah, sorry, Jen. I was just going to say, because that's a prime example over there on that far side. It allows EY to get in those more advanced positions. You hold up the play in those central areas. It draws out the defenders, and then the spaces in behind. EY goes to overlap, and then you have runners from the service off of her from that far side. Haven't seen that enough for Florida State, and I think have done incredibly well to win balls back higher up the field. Outside of maybe the two opportunities, one from Dudley, the top corner of the post from Echegini, not enough in the way of the attack for how much they've had a hold of this game.
Nesbitt on the move into the area. Caulfield coming back defensively. Nesbitt, though, not giving up on the play.
Thinking about our conversation with Brian Pinsky, because he said, our front six, and I include Nesbitt in that because she wants to be an attacker. And there we see her getting into the mix and looking to see if she can draw a foul inside the penalty box.
Yeah, she has played a number of different positions in her career, Leilani Nesbitt, for Florida State, and has become maybe a bit more defensive as the years have gone by, but has played that role beautifully. And yes, she is absolutely a threat when she gets the opportunity. About minute 15 left now in our first half, still scoreless in this matchup between the 5th-seeded Pitt Panthers and the top seed Florida State Seminoles. The winner will move on to Sunday's championship game, which you can find on ESPNU at 12 p.m. And they'll take on the Clemson Tigers. Marion mentioned earlier how wet it is down there on the field. You've seen a couple of players slip so far in this first half. Pitt ready to run, trying to get behind the back line. 3 players get to the ball, though, all wearing white. After the end of 45 minutes in this second semifinal, neither team, Lori, able to gain an advantage so far.
No, and I think we're seeing
play, setting a program record with 36 goals as they ran unbeaten through the ACC toward their ACC regular season title, 6th in program history. Second half underway now. You can see all the players coming back out onto the field, hopping around, trying to get warm. Especially the Florida State players. This temperature, which we may be dropping below 40 here before too long, probably a little more accustomed to that are the Pitt players, right, than what Florida State typically has to deal with.
I don't know. Brian Pinsky with the shorts on might have something to say about that.
I think he's just trying to send a message to the team. They're tough. They can take these cold temps. Should the Seminoles find their way back to the final on Sunday, it's really been such an extraordinary run. They've won 6 times, lost 5 times, and drawn 3 times in the ACC championship final. All 3 of those draws they advanced in. They lost their first 5 times making it there. They've advanced the last 9 and won the championship, taken home the trophy. But you got to get there first. This Pitt Panther team was excited to get another shot at Florida State after that 3-2 loss on the road in Tallahassee a couple of weeks ago. Deborah Abiodun unable to keep possession. There's Jody Brown. Kind of a quiet first half for Jody Brown. Saw her name all that much. She can be so influential. First team All-ACC selection this year for the Seminoles.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see at times Jody Brown just peeling out wide a bit more often. We saw Huff in the first half do that. That was where she was most influential. She's on the ball now.
She finds Jordan Dudley. Left-footed Dudley, and Breach makes a save.
And one of the reasons is because we are going to see that wide space open up. Then it makes the Pitt Panthers decide if they're going to step to it, or are you going to be able to get the overlap, the numerical advantage in those wide areas.
Samaya Fury. Landy Mertz. These are some of the names you heard Randy Waldrum just mention to Marion a few moments ago. Can they get Fury and Mertz and West and Shapansky on the ball more? We know how dangerous that group can be. Heather Gilchrist, sophomore, All-ACC freshman team last year. So reliable in that center back position along with Lauren Flynn. Carries the ball forward now. Abby Oden. Nigerian back on the ball now. Fury, 10 goals on the season. It's a slice of an opening for Shapansky. Goes back wide to Mertz. This is Pitt soccer. Into the box it goes. In front of the goal was West. Can't believe she missed it.
Well, and just look at the reaction on her face, because that was the best opportunity for the Pitt Panthers. And it's just the patience. It starts with Abiota, and then you find Shapansky and a bit of a more of a direct ball. But then the understanding, they are most dangerous when they get the ball wide. And it starts with Mertz, and then you have the runners. And this is excellent from West. Just sneaks in behind. The vulnerability on the balls from the wide areas. And West does so well to put herself in that position and just can't make connection. But what an opportunity, and more positive play from the Pitt Panthers to start this second half.
Beata Olsen is willing to play wherever this Florida State team has needed her. She can play up top in the middle. She's gotten comfortable out here on the wing. Ron Ey and West just bumped into one another in front of us here. Ey went down, but is back on her feet as the ball moves to the other side of the field. Here comes Gilchrist. Dudley making her way to the ball, knew exactly where she wanted to put it. Jody Brown slicing through the defense.
And just a half chance from Jody Brown, but this is what makes Olsen dangerous playing out wide, because she understands when to cut inside. You can see her on the top of your screen centrally. She's the one that tries to get on the end of this and allow for Jody Brown to get higher up. But then it's Ey on this near side that occupies the width. But it's those overloads on that back line that cause so many problems. If they can continue to find those combinations, that movement up top, they're going to find some more success in the attack for Florida State in the second half.
Shapansky, Fury just hovering near midfield for when Florida State makes the move to advance the ball. Seminoles put it out of play. Abby Oden and Echegini, two teammates with Nigeria, facing off now in this ACC semifinal. Fury. Panthers Getting into the box again. West can't get there before Roque. A little more of the Landy Mertz we've been used to seeing all season for Pitt.
A bit more committed to get into the attack, to influence the game on that far side. As we mentioned, the 2 assists against North Carolina and their 2 goals for that win. Really didn't call her name, wasn't as direct serving balls in that first half as we're so accustomed to, but already linking up with Fury, cutting inside at times. With that dangerous ball into West, it didn't miss by much.
You know, we said it early, Lori, when you and I were talking leading up to this match, that we were curious how it would play out on this stage. It's a different feeling. How will players respond? And there's such a huge contrast in the experience at Florida State as a program and that most of these players have versus what this Pitt team comes in with. When you think about the fact that Pitt just won its first ACC tournament game on Sunday, and they just made their first ever NCAA tournament appearance last year.
Yeah, it's almost two-sided because you can come in and play as free as you want because you know that you are the underdog. There's nothing to lose as you continue to build and develop the program. But then for getting your first win, there's also an ability and a belief now that you can, and you don't want these moments to pass you by. So at times you can play freely, but at other times it's like, how do we find ways and how can we be even more clinical in the attack and force the pace and force the issue against this Florida State team?
And I think the report that Marion had at halftime just really hammers home the fact that as successful as Florida State has been as a program, I mean, they're just a couple years removed from their third NCAA championship. They have 3 in their program history, 2 of those coming since 2018. They still believe there's room to grow and get better. That this is not a team resting on its laurels by any means this season. Big ball over the top. Doesn't quite make it past Caulfield, though. Minas picking it up for Pitt. Lee, little slip. Freshman recovers enough. West. She is fouled. This will be a free kick for the Panthers.
And it's that foul that lets the Pitt Panthers off the hook. But if they can continue, Florida State, to look for a bit more of that direct ball, is a smart run from Olsen to try to get in behind. Then it forces Pitt to win the first ball. But then if you're Florida State, you can get more numbers underneath that, attack with more numbers, and it's difficult to defend in the run of play. And then that's where the vulnerability starts to show for the Pitt Panthers. Really disciplined, really committed defensively when they're in their mid-block. It's when they start having to face their own goal, chase the game a bit, and get stretched between their lines where they can, or the opposition can start to cause some problems. And I think that's what we have to see a bit more of from Florida State.
Florida State feeling their way into the second half. Said it earlier that Florida State throughout this season have just grown stronger as the match has gone on. And they've got the numbers to back it up. They have been far more productive actually in the second half of matches than the first. Abby Oden. West. as it goes from Shapansky.
Well, the message was certainly clear at halftime from Randy Waldrum, how they can grow into this game, get more into the attack. We are seeing the Pitt Panthers take more risks, be a bit more direct. Abiodun, one of those players that getting a hold of the ball in the midfield. Just the final pass right now that's letting them down.
Huff into the box for Florida State, blocked out of bounds. Nesbeth. Florida State wants a foul to be called. Jody Brown wants a goal. When we play on, it's going to just be a goal kick. The ACC Fall Championships continue this week. Tomorrow night, it is field hockey taking center stage. Championship coming your way at 7 Eastern between North Carolina and Duke. Sunday, the men's soccer quarterfinals start at 2 Eastern and continue Wednesday with the semifinals. Everything right here on ACCN and the ESPN app, the home of ACC championships. Ferry. Mertz bit behind the ball. Just talking about that contrast and the history and experience of these two teams. Marion, you can add to that as well, right?
Yeah, and Lori, I can add to your point about Pitt starting to take more risks in the attack. A lot of that is because of the confidence that this team is continuing to have in the second half. I think we can all speak from experience. Pitt knows that they're the underdog, and we've all been in those games where the longer that the underdog stays in it, the more belief starts to grow, and that's kind of what we're starting to see here in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? Stay in it. You believe you deserve to be here.
I think one of the most important things in this game so far from the Pitt Panthers was to keep it at zeros in that first half, not concede, not really feel like they had to chase this game. And now working their way in, getting some of these fouls to go their way.
And to your point, Lori, Brian Pinsky told us a couple of tactical keys, but one of the biggest keys he told us in this game was to continue with our relentless attitude, but to take the belief out of this game and out of it quick.
Well, and that's why I think we thought we were going to see Florida State really push the pace, be more direct those first 15, 20 minutes. We saw a few good opportunities. Yes, Echegini and Dudley with some really quality chances in front of goal, but didn't put them away. And then at times you felt like kind of they took their foot off the pedal and didn't continue with that relentless pressure. Now we're seeing the Pitt Panthers with opportunities off this set piece.
And this is how the Panthers scored their first goal against Florida State in Tallahassee a couple of weeks ago on a free kick from distance. And just before that free kick, you saw the referee, Nicole Green, talk to both teams. It is starting to get really physical as Abiodun is knocked down, and watch out here because this is a really dangerous spot to set up the Pitt Panthers.
Well, one of the players that we've continuously talked about for Pitt is Abiodun. If she can start to be more involved on both sides of the ball, helping out defensively, but also joining in the attack, she has all the ability to open up this game for the Panthers. This time, picking up the ball, doing what she needs, looking to see if she can get something on goal there. Draws the foul, and the second time in quick succession, we're going to see the Pitt Panthers with a really good opportunity off of a set piece. And I think at this distance, you have to keep something on frame, go for goal, but force Roque to make a save, get runners into the box, see if you can get something on the end of the save. But keep it on frame, get numbers crashing the 6-yard box.
Caulfield, Shapansky. It will be Caulfield driving it through on the post. The Panthers inches away from taking the lead.
Well, I think it was off your screen. I'm not so sure. You could see Abiodun just smacking the ground. She knows what an opportunity this was, exactly what we just talked about.
And this is where I almost feel like Nicole Green's going to have to put a yellow card out here somewhere soon, because there have been a lot of really dangerous tackles. Both teams are doing it, and if you get hit with one, you're going to give it back unless the referee gets stuff under control.
Well, here's that last opportunity. Exactly what we said. Keep it on frame. What a strike. And unfortunate, it just hits the post. You can see how much power is on it, and he almost catches the strikers, Abiodun being one of them, off guard. Ricocheting off the post, but Caulfield does so well to keep it low. Keep it on frame to allow that opportunity to develop.
That frame has been busy on that end of the field. It's come into play a couple of times now. Echegini hit it in the first half for Florida State. So the difference maker so far, the post and the crossbar. We wait to see which team, which player might be able to do that. Foul against Pitt. Remember, Florida State has yet to lose this season. Unbeaten regular season for the first time in program history. They have never lost in their series history to the Pitt Panthers. The Seminoles a perfect 12-0 all time against Pitt. Another talking to. But nothing more, at least, at the moment from a referee. Brown. She and Echegini so good together, but Echegini down now, right around the midfield circle. She limps back to her feet as play continues. Ooh, we just lost some lights, and they're back. I don't know if all of the lights have come back on the field. If not, the referee should halt the match. Looks like at the far side, there's some that have missed. Some of the banks of lights are out as well. At the moment, we play on. Szczepanski. West. Cutting across. Szczepanski bending it in, but not enough. Marion, what can you tell us? What can you see down there with the lights?
Yeah, to your point, Jenna, what I can see is the fourth actually checking her watch on her wrist, her manual watch, just in case they do need to go back and add time to when that light stop originally happened.
Great point. Not just the lights, but a little power flicker here took our scoreboard off the grid for a bit. So the moment will continue. I'm pleased to tell you that space heater came back on. We are being spoiled up here, if I'm being honest.
That is the information that the listeners need. All is well, space heaters are on.
Roque, not the best clearance, goes right to West. And she tries to fight off EY.
There's been a few of those, whether it's Roque or just the back line for Florida State. Difficult to be able to clear the pressure. It landed right to the Pitt Panthers. And we said it in the first half, and there's moments where you like the directness, the wide service for the Pitt Panthers, but I think that you have to continue to ask Fury to be that focal point, be the post player, so they can bounce the ball off of her and then get runners underneath. Goes back to our point about being and having that versatility in the attack, variety of ways that they can score goals.
Huff bumped off the ball with some force by Caulfield. And Landy Mertz has some space within which to work. Mertz back on it. Echegini. Huff has Dudley. It's been awfully quiet this first half for Florida State. But give her a moment. It can be one that changes a game. Here is the ACC Freshman of the Year. Dudley keeping the ball, getting her shot off. But Breach there to make the save.
Yeah, complete game changer. Haven't had much in the way of any sort of attack, possession, and as soon as they win it, she is constantly an outlet. So threatening in behind Jordan Dudley, and doesn't get all of that opportunity. Right to Breach, she keeps a hold of it nicely, but it's always a threat, and that is something against the run of play that Florida State has in their back pocket that they'll want to continue to look for.
Between the two highest scoring teams in the ACC in overall matches coming into tonight, we stay scoreless in this semifinal. The winner will move on to face the Clemson Tigers in the championship on Sunday, 12 noon on ESPNU from right here at WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary. Memories good and bad abound for Florida State on this field. Won championships, ACC and NCAA. They've come to Cary. And they've also seen their seasons end here in heartbreaking fashion. But it was the Seminoles who broke the hearts of the Panthers in the third round of the NCAA tournament last year in Tallahassee. Seminoles would go on to the College Cup where they lose to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Dudley not allowed to weave her way any closer to goal, but it falls back to Huff. That shot's blocked. A challenge to Echegini, and it is a foul.
Yeah, one of the keys coming into this game for the Pitt Panthers was defending on top of their box a bit better than they did the last time that these two matched up. Echegini picking up some loose balls. Dudley taking on 1v1. Excellent defending for the Pitt Panthers, staying focused and now winning this set piece and able to build out of the back.
Here's your Week 10 ACC Network football lineup coming up on Saturday. It starts at noon Eastern, North Carolina hosting Campbell. Then number 13, Louisville will take on Virginia Tech, and we'll cap the day with Miami and NC State. All three games also available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Leah Pace coming back on to replace Olsen for Florida State. Dudley. EY striding onto the ball. Pace fresh into the match. Finds Nesbitt, full head of steam. You know she wanted that one. Shapansky looking for Mertz, but put it a little too close to Flynn.
I do think we're seeing a little bit of blood on Nesbeth. She took either a hand to the face or that ball ricocheted back.
She remains on the field at midfield at the moment. Nesbitt. Brown over the top. Jody Brown across in front of the goal, and Jordan Dudley gives Florida State the lead.
Well, it's just so clinical. And you've been waiting for this from Florida State because this is when they're so deadly. And just look at the positioning of Nesbitt. This is what makes her so good. She stays out of the play, allows herself to be able to get her head up, deliver that ball over the top to the onrushing Jody Brown. And she just does such enough to be able to cushion that ball, to bring it down. And then you have the runners. And then the last person you want is Dudley. 1v1 inside the 6-yard box. And it's a perfectly placed ball, and she makes no mistake about it. What a finish with her head for the freshman. What a goal that is, and how clinical. 3 passes to get themselves in, and it's a goal.
You know, when we asked Brian Penske about why his team has been so successful in the second half in particular this year, and he said, you know, I think we wear teams down by what you've used, a word you've used a lot, Lori, relentless. And both of these teams will try to play that way, but Florida State in particular, they just keep coming at you. And in that moment, as you said, everything was right about it. The delivery to start the play from Nesbitt, the run from Brown, one quick touch, and then the excellent finish from the freshman.
Yeah, we've seen them do this time and time again against the run of play. Maybe don't have the possession or the chances that they really want or should have. And then out of nothing, you get Nesbitt in a perfect position. That's what makes her so good. Her positioning to be able to break the lines, perfectly delivered ball, and then just enough with those front runners. You have Brown, you have Dudley, and they'll make you pay. And the last thing you want is a 1v1 situation with Dudley in the position to be able to win that header, and it's so clinical. It's so good.
10th goal of the season for Jordan Dudley. One of the best freshmen in the country. Her 9 goals led all ACC freshmen coming into this match, ranked 4th in the country amongst freshmen. And her 7 goals in ACC play tied for the league lead along with the Offensive Player of the Year and her teammate, Joe Echegini. So again, this is the setup that did lead to a Pitt goal last meeting between these two teams. Gordon with the delivery.
And I think the question now is, what's this response going to be from the Pitt Panthers? Can they start to push numbers forward? But there's still plenty of time left to go in this game, and you have to be mindful of the threats that Florida State have going the other direction. So the last thing you want to do is really open yourself up defensively to allow for Florida State to be able to attack in those transitional moments. So can you have that balance between when to attack and go in numbers, but also stay compact defensively and not give too much away as you try to get the equalizer?
Echegini kept it alive. Over to Huff. You see Anna Bout, 5th-year player out of Canada, came on to replace Minas in the midfield for Pitt. Brown. Abiota knew exactly where Jody Brown wanted to go. Kept it away from Echegini. Just remember, Pitt had that free kick that clanked off the post earlier in this half. Fury, can she make something of this chance? Goes out wide to West. Amanda West had the game winner to get Pitt here against North Carolina. And going to be a foul against West and Pitt. Ton. A little bit of contact after the play from West. But I do know, I think we can hear too, the Florida State coaches have been frustrated by some of the physicality that they feel their players have taken in this match. But they did get the goal in the 69th minute. And Marion, what did you notice about Florida State leading up to that goal?
Yeah, it was actually a tactical change from the Florida State coaching staff that led to this goal. Jody Brown moved out wide so they could get her isolated in those wide areas. Obviously, the cross that led to the header.
And now here goes Echegini. Deflects out. It'll be a Florida State corner.
Yeah, and that player that she did come in for, or actually shifted to the higher position, was Olsen. We're going to see her come back on the field momentarily. But it just goes back to what we've been talking about, the fluidity, the difference in positions. At times we will see Echegini out wide left, but she can also play the attacking midfield role. Typically, Dudley is that center forward position, but she also has the ability to move around as well, and it makes it difficult to defend.
You add in Leah Pace to that as well. It allows for a lot of interchange, a lot of possibilities up top.
Part of what has made this Florida State team so dangerous all season long. Just the second corner of the match for the Seminoles. Taylor Huff to take it, bending it in toward the goal. That's another one for Florida State. Make it two. The Seminoles double their lead.
Well, we mentioned it for the Pitt Panthers with Shapansky and her delivery off of set pieces, off of corner kicks. Well, Huff was another one that was mentioned with her delivery. It's just an in-swinger with the left foot. But look at the overloads in the 6-yard box. So difficult. It does look actually like it's a Dudley that gets it. Olsen at the last second moves out of the way. There's the initial thing. Oh, it does actually go off the top head of Olsen. But regardless, both of those players attacking the near post, making it so difficult to defend. You've got the numbers, overloads in dangerous areas, but all the credit to Huff for that delivery, pinpoint perfect. And then Olsen, Dudley doing what they need to do to get something on the end of it and creating a little bit of separation in this game. And it's going to be really difficult now for Pitt to work their way back, start to open this game up even more.
And this is what Florida State does. They get one, and quite often they get a few more. When you think about this team and on the verge potentially of setting offensive records. They've already set their records for goals scored in conference play, and just continuing on. And Nesbitt out there wearing a different jersey, you might notice. She's now wearing number 28. Lori mentioned she thought she saw blood earlier. No doubt that was the reason for the jersey change.
Well, and let's not forget, too, Jen, just thinking about these two goals for Florida State. We saw a corner kick goal against Pitt the last time that these two teams met. We also saw a direct ball over the top. That time it was into Dudley. This time it was into Jody Brown that served it into Dudley. So almost two identical plays that Pitt has conceded against this Florida State team, and it just proves how difficult. You might have one area of the field managed against the Seminoles, but if you leave another one vacant, they'll find a way to be able to exploit it, whether it's set pieces, the run of play, and even before that Dudley go-ahead goal, we talked about opening up this Pitt Panthers team defensively, forcing them to have to defend facing their own goal. Well, that's what they did, and it's been difficult for Pitt now to be able to work their way back into this game.
Tough challenge. Stays in possession with Pitt. Mertz on it on the wing. Cuts it back. quite ready to serve it up yet. She'll allow Shapansky to do the honors. Good patience by the Panthers. Diving clearance made by Nesbitt. There is a whistle now. And Jordan Dudley down right at midfield for Florida State. Marion reported coming into this match that Dudley missed the last match. She was injured just at the start of the second half in the Seminoles match at Duke on October 22nd. And now Marion seeing Dudley sitting down there at midfield. That's not a good sight for Brian Penske.
Yeah, another thing that's not a good sight, Jen, is the fact that Dudley did end up grabbing that left knee. She moved it back and forth, and we'll see if that's what the trainer looks at right now.
I mean, she is just such a dynamic player, a difference maker. Goal in this game. Nearly had another. Just went over her head on the corner kick. This is, we believe, where she goes down. Steps awkwardly there. So she will come off and get evaluated by the trainer. That brings on the freshman, Peyton Morse, who had an ACL injury last fall and has started to get healthy as the season has gone on. This is just her 8th appearance of the season. And all eyes on Jordan Dudley as she heads to the sideline, and only hoping it would be good prognosis there. Gets a little bump from head coach Brian Penske on the way by. Does her absence change anything for Pitt now? We'll see. Pace. EY does get there. Excellent effort, but winds up out of bounds.
Yeah, there was opportunity for Huff just to get faced up and realize that she had time in between the lines to put herself in that position, and it's a little too aggressive with that first-time ball. And there's EY trying to make something of it in the slick field that we've talked about.
Olsen leapfrogs the defender. A necessary clearance from Pitt. There were Seminoles running into the box, trying to get on the ball. And credit this Florida State defense. I mean, Samaya Fury has been held almost completely in check in this match. She has been so dynamic this season for Pitt. Huff directing traffic as she receives the ball. Ground back to Huff. On Saturdays, you know, the ACC Huddle Crew has you covered all day long on ACC Network. They get you started at 11 a.m. Eastern. They'll be around all day long between games and get you set for all the action, and they'll catch you up after the game right here on ACCN at the end of the night for a complete wrap-up and interviews with players and coaches. Sophia Wynn coming into the game for Mimi Van Zanten for Florida State. Experienced defender, though just a sophomore, started 12 matches this season. She's been kind of rotating starts in that position with Van Zanten. Ten minutes and change for Florida State just to hold this one down. I talked about how this team just continues to pile on goals after they get the first. If you look back over their last few games, and this is all ACC play, 5 goals, 4 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals coming in to this ACC championship. I mean, this is just a dominant attack that the Seminoles bring. It'll take it a little while to get going, or at the very least, to get a goal to show for all the effort they were putting forth in this one tonight, but no panic.
I think that is the most interesting thing, and about this Seminole team is that they don't panic. You never sense that they were extremely frustrated, just knew. So we're going to see West try to make something here. But you just knew that they were going to work hard defensively, get numbers behind. It wasn't that the Pitt Panthers didn't have a few chances, especially at the beginning of this second half, came out a lot more aggressive. But that ultimately just opened up the space in behind for the Panthers to be, for the Seminoles to be able to try to exploit in behind. And that's what we saw in that go-ahead goal.
Fury.
Really good recognition of Brown, that adjustment that Marion talked about from Pinsky to move her up top to be able to exploit that space in behind. And once they did allow for the Panthers to attack them, one big ball over the top.
West so good with the ball at her feet. Earns a corner kick for the Panthers. Set pieces now can change games. One goal could really change the tenor of this match for Pitt. The Panthers have yet to come back to win when conceding first this season. But one goal could go a long way toward helping that cause here tonight. Szczepanski. Abby Oden looking for the first time touch. A chance in front of the goal for Fury. It is out. It's another corner coming. One of the best teams in the country at creating corner kicks. Starting to gather a couple of them now. Thought the delivery from Szczepanski has not been her best thus far tonight, but her best is amongst the best you'll see when she hits it right. She and Huff both so deadly in terms of set-piece situations. And we've seen it from Huff in this match. On the other side for Florida State, her corner kick leading to the Seminoles' second goal in the 75th minute. Goals 6 minutes apart for the Seminoles, giving them this 2-0 lead. Starting to pave that road back to the ACC championship game on Sunday. Zalski. Caulfield stretches out to keep possession for Pitt. Takes the shot, but it is wide.
Well, important touch for Caulfield to be able to break that pressure that had come aggressively right there in the middle of the field. And then you felt like always at a little bit of an awkward angle to get something on that to test Roque. But it's better, and that's the response you want to see. I mean, we've talked about this endlessly with this Pitt Panthers team. Regardless of how this game ends, there is a lot of belief, a lot of confidence. There's going to be postseason play for them, and they have to take these lessons and learn on how they can grow into the game. And against some of these top teams that have the experience, that understand what it means to get here, they can't wait a whole first half to really build into the attack and put the opposition under pressure.
Abby Oden, can she get more on the ball for Pitt? Start these connections. West now to Fury. Lets it go through. Wants it on her right foot. Little trip. She's back to her feet. Bout with the shot. It's blocked. Mertz. Sends it across. Caulfield again over the crossbar.
Well, this is when they've been at their best, and we haven't seen it consistently enough from the Panthers. Getting it wide, that was a first-time ball, and that shows Fury's understanding of where the space. She's been so good in those areas. Just lets the ball run, opens up a little bit of space. We thought maybe she got tripped, but then just the recognition. Let's get it wide to Mertz, to those players, and we have numbers in the box. Just haven't seen that enough, but they are dangerous when they get the ball wide, when they serve it in, late runners inside the 6-yard box, put teams under so much pressure. And I think that's an area that they really could have caused Florida State problems tonight. Just didn't see it enough for them to be able to get a hold of the ball, especially initially in those central areas, to allow for that wide area to open up.
No reason not to gamble a little bit more now if you're Pitt. 5 minutes to go. You need to get a couple of goals to force overtime. Nesbitt buying her defense a little time, and who knows, maybe sending Jody Brown on a run. Shapansky. West waiting for it on this near wing. Cuts in against Wynn. Gilchrist there to help defensively. West, soft touch centrally for Fury. Love the idea, a little different.
Those two are certainly trying to link up a bit more into the attack. West, Fury, okay, and then the last defender, whether it's Gilchrist or Flynn, coming across, doing what they need to do just to throw off Fury, get a last little tackle in against West to keep the ball in front of them and allow Roque behind them to come in and smother it. And that's the little details in these moments, in these games, that you have to have.
Abiodun. Shapansky. 10 goals, 10 assists on the season for Sarah Shapansky in a first-team All-ACC season for the junior. That is a push. Free kick coming for Pitt. Another opportunity now from the set piece for the Panthers to get everybody up that they can. There's the ball. Abiodun tries to flick it over to West. She slips a little bit on the shot and is offside anyway. Amanda West, though, what a career. She has helped lift this Pitt team into the higher levels of the ACC in her time with the Panthers. Their all-time leading scorer, 48 goals, NCAA tournament experience now. They made it to the third round last year before losing to this Seminole team. They'll have the NCAA tournament coming up again with the season and the body of work that they have put together this year. Olsen, now this could work out. Norse had a couple of goals in her season debut. EY. Throw in coming, and Florida State in no hurry.
One minute remaining. 1 minute.
This result holds. It will be Florida State and Clemson in the ACC Championship on Sunday. Clemson Tigers had a 2-goal lead against Florida State in the regular season. The Seminoles came back to win that game 4-2. Norse. Final seconds ticking away from this one. Took a little while for Florida State to find their first one. It came in the 69th minute, but then they found another in the 75th, and that 2-0 scoreline's going to hold Florida State going back to the final.
Yeah, not surprising. I mean, with how lethal that they have been, unprecedented season, variety of ways that we've mentioned that they can attack, that they can cause